So in a couple of months, I turned 40, and I wanted to make a video about what I would tell my younger self, maybe as a teenager or a young man in my teen years or in my 20s. And I guess the message is towards any younger men as well. Just things that I have personally learned. Everything was the hard way. And if I could have given myself advice to give me a much better life from a young age, then these are a few things that I would have given. So the first one that I fell into was the lure of having easy money and an easy life. It Social media is responsible to some degree for some of this, and the internet in general, right? Because it's just a million people there trying to sell things to you and trying to convince you of various things so they themselves get money. But I did waste a lot of money in trying to make more money easily. Things like the share market and investing. That for me was the biggest thing, and I lost tons of money doing that. It is possible to make a living from it, but it's just very difficult. It is not. It is something that takes many years to learn, many years of consistent effort, like anything at all. If there was a very easy barrier to entry to the share market, then it wouldn't be effective. They have to make it really difficult so people can make money from it, and it's the top 2% that make money. To get the right to make money from it, you need to spend years studying it and various other things as well. And this applies to many things. There is nothing that is easy. If you have an easy life, for example, if you have rich parents and they gave you everything you want, your life would be awful. You would have very low people skills. You would have very poor emotional skills. You would have a very unhappy life. Life for men in particular is designed to be difficult, and it always has been difficult. But if you can accept this fact and realize that in order to make it, you have to essentially work very hard at a few specific things, and then eventually a man's life can become very good. But it just involves a lot of sacrifice, a lot of pain, a lot of hard work, and then you can get there. There are men who have already made it. They have the money and the lifestyle and stuff. I have fallen into the trap of kind of trying to copy their lifestyle. They do these morning routines, they do all this stuff. But then eventually I realized that they are at the end goal. They are at the end point of what happens if you lead a life that is very painful, full of sacrifice, full of pain, full of scary things, full of imbalance. Then you can make it, and then you can have that lifestyle. But you have to go through that first. You can't just start to do all these crazy morning routines and whatever they're doing and start copying them and think that will give you that life. It has to be painful. It has to be long. It has to be difficult. But then you earn the right to become one of the top 2%. Had I been told that, I would have been a lot less avoidant of difficult things. I would have been more aggressive towards being disciplined and facing what I needed to face, and not being as fearful of situations and people. Just knowing that this is the only way. There's no way I can avoid it. The more I avoid it, the worse life gets for a man. So the second thing is taking the lead. So something it took me a long time to understand is that taking the lead fundamentally means taking the lead of yourself first, which means you need to understand what you truly feel, what you truly think, and what you truly want. This takes a lot of introspection, time. It takes a lot of experimentation and mistakes. But eventually you get the sense of what's right and wrong for you. And then you know inside yourself whether you're speaking the truth, or whether your actions are true, or whether they're a lie. The key here is taking the lead of yourself means you are acting under your own intentions, regardless of the outside situation. If there's pressure on you to lie, if there's pressure on you to pretend or do something you don't believe, then to be effective, you need to do what you think is right, regardless of the outcome. Then you eventually get the life that you want, the life that you were meant for, and the purpose that you're seeking. It's not easy, but it's essential. It's not about leading others. It's about finding out who you are and expressing that regardless of circumstance. And then people will follow you. You will become a leader inevitably. The third one is lust, overcoming lust. I see it cause so many problems in so many men's lives, including my own. I was very lucky in the sense that I never got a girl pregnant. We never had a kid or anything. I never had children. I may one day, but I'm lucky because guys meet girls who they're attracted to. Maybe they've never had a girl that attractive. Then they get into relationships with these women without really vetting them first, without really confirming if these people are compatible with you. You start having sex with them, you become intertwined emotionally, and then it's finished. You get married, you have kids, and you find out that they're toxic or that you're just completely incompatible. Your whole life can be ruined by this, and it's happened so much. They will take everything from you, including your children. This is very common, and it's simply because you didn't overcome your lust for someone you find attractive. I think this is advice that men used to give their kids, that older men used to give younger men. But we just don't really get this type of thing passed on to us anymore because the earth has been somewhat feminized. Men don't get the guidance that they used to get. We don't get the advice that we used to get on how to be effective at being a man. We get advice from women, which tell us that we should be more feminine. We should be all these things that sometimes doesn't help us. If you can overcome this sense, and for me, the only way that I could overcome it was if I can see now that I had to make the mistakes. I had to be in these incredibly painful relationships with women I found sexually attractive, and I got with them because I just wanted to have sex, but then it turned into a relationship and it was a nightmare. I had to go through this incredibly painful experience to learn, but I was the lucky one who never got any of them pregnant. Now I understand, and now I'm very, very careful. I will never forget some of those lessons. I believe going long periods without sex, practicing nofap, practicing various kinds of meditation, practicing dating but not having sex, practice dating women you're not attracted to. Get better social skills, become better at reading people, get to know yourself better so you understand what triggers you and what doesn't and what type of relationship you want. Generally, if it's exciting, if it raises your cortisol, if you feel excited and if you feel like it's this crazy adventure, if you feel like you're chasing the person, if you feel not peaceful, then it's generally a toxic bond, that you're chasing something you can't get. It's triggered something inside you or the girl. What I look for now is peace. Peace can be seen to be boring. You may be like, oh, this is boring. But it just means that it's not toxic. It means that you're not being triggered in a negative way, and she's not either. It means that you're able to genuinely care for one another rather than just chase emotions or avoid emotions. This is what I now look for, and this is what I now vet people for when I start talking to them. If we go on dates, I ask various questions and just to check check for these things, and it's been very important for me. Setting boundaries is the fourth one. So this is something I always struggled with. I had a lot of pressure in my life and that I placed on myself to make everyone happy. So I would do things that I didn't want to do, say things I didn't want to say, etc., etc., simply because I didn't want to upset others. We need to upset other people. We need to do what's right by us and upset other people. It is the only way to find out who we are, to set boundaries, and to create the relationships and social group that we want. Without these, you have a very painful life. And I went through years of people pleasing and doing things that I didn't want to do, being with people that weren't really good for me. The next one is about feeling your emotions. So there's a lot of what seems like conflicting advice out there for men. That some women will say, you need to be emotional, you need to feel your emotions, you need to show me your vulnerability and who you are. Some men say, don't ever get emotional in front of anyone. Express no emotions and be a man, right? I get both sides of the argument. Men can be seen as leaders in this respect. I believe some of the healthiest relationships is where the man is the rock for the woman. To become that rock for the people around you, to become the leader, there's really only one way to do it, which is you need to be on your own and feel through these emotions that are causing you problems. If you've got a problem with anger, look to see what's under the anger. Maybe there's a lot of shame, sadness, grief, fear. They're the things that you need to feel, not the anger. But then when you're with people, this is when we need to become more rational. We need to realize that most of our interactions and reactions and problems and stuff are caused by the irrational, constant processing and experience of emotion. So when we're with people and we need to lead them and in our relationships and friendships and professional lives, we can't be feeling our emotions in the way that we would when we're on our own. When we're on our own, we search and we identify and we feel and we grow so that we can be better when we are with people. But if you just show too many emotions as a man around people, then they lose respect and trust for you. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is. We are emotional beings and we can't switch that off. And we operate with emotions all the time. We should not be repressing these. These should always be there and we should always be aware of them. However, I don't believe that we should be expressing them too much, unless it's serious. Because a lot of the time with these emotions, they're not even about what we think they're about. And this is where the wisdom comes into it. It is usually repressed vulnerable emotions from childhood that we need to identify and remove. The more we do this, the more rational we become, the more of a leader we become. But it's not their fault, and it's not our job to put it on everyone. The last thing is to do with addiction or impulses or gratification. I have always had a very addictive nature where if anything that affects my dopamine or anything that affects my sleep, I can very quickly become addicted to it. I just want more of it. I can't sleep without it. I can't function without it. This is why I avoid a lot of things. I don't drink caffeine. if I do it, it gets out of control very quickly. Something simple like that. I do not drink. I haven't for 16 years. I don't take any illicit drugs. Even prescription drugs, I avoid. And the thing that this has taught me is that I shouldn't take action based on short-term impulses. So if I have an impulse to eat some junk food, then I shouldn't do it. If I have an impulse to make myself happy in the moment, I should not do it. I need to delay, and then in the future things become better. The impulse goes away, my life becomes clearer and simpler. Jocko Willink said this in a really good way, which is discipline is freedom. The discipline to overcome your immediate impulses for long-term gain will ultimately make you a better person. The more you act on your short-term impulses, the worse they get, and then you're trapped. It's a dichotomy that discipline is freedom. Ultimately, your impulses will disappear or become easier to control, and you will be free from them. You will have a much better life. Don't take drugs. Don't eat shit junk food. Don't eat too many carbs. Don't take anything artificial. Drink healthy salt water, lots of it. Eat meat and fat, tons of it. You don't get addicted to these things for a reason. It's because we're designed for them. Salty water, meat and fat. Go to the gym, exercise. This feels painful in the moment, but long term, very long term, it becomes very good. You have the body you always wanted. You have the health that you deserve. So I hope that helps you guys. Feel free to post any questions you may have. And thanks for listening. Cheers.